Hello, and welcome to Real Person Reviews. I'm Sam, and I'm a real person. And today I want to talk to you about Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. And up front here, I want to just say that if you want to see a written review before, after, or instead of this video review, then you can go ahead and go to www.thegravelpit.net or click on the link in the description to go check that out, because I do those too. And I would mention something about the footage and stuff, but we'll get to that. Just know we're gonna acknowledge the thing, okay? We're gonna acknowledge that thing. So anyways, let's just kind of get on into it. So Super Mario World, of course, is a Mario game, and it was, I believe, the first Mario game on the Super Nintendo. It was a follow-up to Super Mario Bros. 3 back on the NES. And you'll see a lot of familiar Mario-type stuff. I mean, you can play as Mario and Luigi, for 1 and 2 player, of course. You run around, you jump on enemies, you can get fire flowers and mushrooms and stars as power-ups. And you get to move around an overworld map, also kind of like Super Mario Bros. 3, and select levels that you want to play. And, you go through, you try to save the princess, because she's been kidnapped by Bowser, and also, apparently, Bowser this time around, who has decided to build his castle on Dinosaur Island, I guess that's the place, has also trapped Yoshis in eggs. I thought Yoshis were supposed to hatch from the eggs, but when you find Yoshi, he says the first one, he's like, you trapped me in this egg. So I don't know if they even do lay eggs or not, or if that's how they get their young, or if, for what, I don't know. It's weird. Why would he have been trapped in the egg? That doesn't make any sense. Anyways, that's not the point. The point is, simple plot, save the Yoshis, save the princess, beat Bowser, and along the way you gotta beat a bunch of the Koopalings, because there are a bunch of these mini bosses that are also Koopas, but they're not like regular Koopas. They still have their own kind of attacks and stuff. So that's kind of a neat little thing, kind of like going through all the different bosses from Super Mario Bros. 3. They gotta fight all of them in there, and now you gotta fight all the Koopalings, so I think they're the same. I could be totally wrong on that, but that's what you gotta do. It's a similar kind of concept that you're kind of used to, right? Of course, this time around there are a few different things. One of them is that, like I said, Yoshis are here, so you can ride Yoshi. And riding Yoshi allows you to stand on certain platforms that you couldn't stand on as a regular Mario Bros. And Yoshi can eat things, which he either will swallow, or sometimes he can spit them out, and you can have Koopa shells. Basically, having different colored Koopa shells in your mouth can give you different abilities. Like, blue ones allow you to fly, green ones are normal, but red ones, when you shoot them out, they turn into fire, and different colored Yoshis will have different attributes, such as the blue Yoshi allowing you to fly no matter what shell you have in your mouth, or the red Yoshi always shooting out fire no matter what shell you eat. So it's interesting. Interesting little things they throw in there. And you still go around on this overworld to play levels, but there's more of an openness to it in that you can play levels and replay levels, and you don't really fight each other in this one in the multiplayer mode, which is kind of nice that it's actually cooperative, fully cooperative. And the reason you can go back to levels is because a lot of them have secret exits, which can lead you to shortcuts or bonus areas, or even get you to these switch palaces, which basically are these really short levels where you hit a switch, and then they make blocks appear of that same color with an exclamation point on them, which you can usually tell where they're going to go because they're usually outlined with that same color dotted outline in levels where the blocks are, if you haven't activated the switch yet, which allows you to get some more secrets, makes some parts easier, so it does a lot for you to try to find those as well. And you have the spin jump in here, which allows you to kill, or at least bounce off of certain enemies that otherwise you couldn't hurt. And it's also nice because if you have if you're a large Mario or Luigi, if you're not small, you're also able to break through certain blocks beneath your feet. So that's an interesting little touch to it. And you can also get the feather here, which basically replaces the leaf from Super Mario Bros. 3. And the feather, excuse me, the feather gives you a cape. which allows you can hit enemies with it. If you hold the jump button, you can slow your descent, and if you run for a while, you actually fly up into the air, and if you time your swoops correctly, you can actually stay in the air for quite a while. So it's a pretty interesting little item to throw in there. And all these things add this variety, and all these things work towards finding these secrets or bonuses, and also just for general gameplay. So I think they all go together really well. Plus, there are some fixtures here. The main ones you're going to see repeated a lot are ghost houses, fortresses, and castles. I mean, ghost houses, they're generally more like big puzzle levels. While there's usually some puzzle elements and some other levels as well, a lot of them are still more linear and straightforward. Aside from their more secret exits, which you can tell because usually there'll be some kind of it'll be like a different color for the level if it has a secret exit, so you can kind of tell when there's going to be secret exits. But ghost houses are more puzzly, and you kind of have to figure out the correct way to go through them, usually cycling through them multiple times in order to try and find the actual correct way to leave the place. Then the castles tend to have, not the castles, the fortresses tend to have a few mini-bosses. One of the repeated ones is Reznor, this thing of a bunch of fire-spitting rhinos or triceratops or something. I think of triceratops on these rotating platforms. You gotta kill all of them, and that's a recurring mini-boss for those that basically is at the end of all of these things that are sort of like castles, but they're smaller, and that's the boss. So when you go to actual castles, they're usually longer and more difficult, and you'll have to fight one of the Koopalings at the end of those. So there's just, I mean, there are a ton of levels in here. There's even a super secret world of levels for extra ones if you want to have more levels. And with all of the levels and the secret exits to all these levels to get to different routes and places and check stuff out, I mean, there's just tons to do here. Also, you have this little addition where if you can get items, and you have not really an inventory like Super Mario Bros. 3, but you have an inventory slot at the top of the screen. So when you're in game, you can hold one item at the top of the screen when you collect it. If you've already got a full power up, or if it's a duplicate of what you have, or lesser than that. So say you're already large and you find another mushroom, you get that and it goes up into the inventory. Then if you get hit and you turn small again, it'll automatically fall down and you can get it. Or you can get something like if you have a fire flower and then you get another fire flower, the fire flower will go up there. And if you get hit again, you can choose to either manually bring down the fire flower, which will float down from the top of the screen, you have to catch it, or you wait until you get hit again and you're small, and then it'll automatically fall down. So that's a little thing there to give you a little bit of customization, a little bit of flexibility in how you play as well. I think that's also interesting. And I'm sure there's a lot of other little things that are different here and there, because these levels, they just throw in a bunch of new mechanics constantly. There's new enemies everywhere, and there's these, all the bosses, the mini-bosses, and the secrets, and just trying to do all these different things and these new mechanics for each level. The game really likes to throw new things at you and keep it exciting, while also making it still really simple to understand, and not incredibly difficult, because while there are some levels that are probably going to trip you up a few times, you're going to get plenty of lives, especially because at the end of the levels there is usually a goalpost, and if you hit the moving marker on the goalpost, you'll get a certain number of stars depending on how high it is, and they accumulate. So every time you go over 100 stars, or at least get to 100 stars, it'll trigger a mini game where you have to hit these boxes, try and line up as many of rows of, or just as many lines of 3 of the same symbol as possible, and then however many lines of those you get at the end of it, that's how many 1-ups you'll get for it. And there's also a lot of ways to get 1-ups during the levels as well, the 100 coins, all that stuff. So it just, I guess the reason this game is so awesome is not just because of these little new things that make it interesting, on top of all the new and interesting mechanics they throw in on all the different levels to keep you, engaged in these different areas and lands and all that, even though it is still rather formulaic with ghost houses, fortresses, and castles inhabiting all the different areas. They still manage to do a lot of new things in there. There are a lot of levels, it's a good adventure, there's save files, you actually have 3 save files, that's fucking awesome, you just have a lot of stuff there. It's a really, really deep and rich Mario adventure, and it controls amazingly well. Like, this controls, perfectly, so good. So that it never feels like you're screwed over because the controls are bad. It feels like you made a mistake and you gotta play better. And that's great, because that's where the challenge should come from, not from broken controls. And that's awesome that the controls are this fucking good. I also think that, the visuals are nice and cartoony and colorful, and some of the tunes are actually pretty catchy too. I mean, this is just a really, really great game. And, I mean, it's actually really hard to think of things that I don't like about this game, because there's not much to not like. I guess repeating the same mini-boss is a little bit annoying, because, it just gets kind of old after you fought the same mini-boss that many times. And also it can be a little, some of the Koopalings are just kind of like, harder versions of previous Koopalings, which is a little lame. They should have at least made all of them more unique, I think. And the super secret levels, like some of the secrets take you to things that you don't really need to go to, or to a route or a shortcut or something that you can get to another way, or you already have unlocked from a different way of doing it. So they're a little useless in that. And the super secret levels, while they're really cool to look at, and they're pretty challenging to play, and they're fun, and it's nice to have more levels, trust me, it is. There's not really much of a reward for doing all of those, and that's a shame, because I feel like there should have been more to that. But some of the secrets aren't necessarily worth finding, because they're not going to lead you to anything. They're just going to make another shortcut or an extra path to a thing you can already get to. So they're not always that rewarding, but it is kind of nice to just try and challenge yourself to find all the secret exits and everything. I guess that is a thing. And outside of that, I guess the only other, again, mostly nitpicky kind of complaint is that all the cutscenes, there's little cutscenes with like text after you beat a castle, and for some reason all of them in the Super Nintendo version just say, they just say that Mario did this stuff, even though you know damn well that you were pulling your weight as Luigi. They just mention Mario. He's the only one that's here apparently. So, fuck you, game. But at least they righted that wrong in the Game Boy Advance port. Super Mario Advance 2 Super Mario World, which all the levels and everything seem to be the same, and I didn't see any differences. In fact, this is actually the version of the game I played first, and the one I'm most familiar with, and the one that you're seeing footage for, so that's why I'm doing that one, just because it's kind of basically the same thing, but portable, and with a couple of extras. For one thing, one change was that I guess both the characters have voices now, so that's neat. And the visuals look a little worse, I guess, because they're kind of dim for the Game Boy Advance palette or whatever. And some of the sounds and stuff are a little different because they have to work with the Game Boy Advance sound chip, which isn't as good. I'll admit that. But the gameplay is solid. The gameplay is still there. And because this is mostly a single-player system, what they do is they allow you to switch between Mario or Luigi for the levels, and Luigi is actually different in this game. He looks different than Mario, and he has the little fluttery jump like from the North American Super Mario Bros. 2. He kind of has that thing going, which makes some parts easier and some parts more difficult, and I think that's pretty cool. It's a nice twist on the game, especially if you're already familiar with it. Plus, when you hit some of those multi-coin question mark blocks, sometimes he'll just knock all the coins out of them, so you can just go and grab all those without having to hit it a bunch of times. So it's an interesting thing, and he makes some stuff easier, some stuff more difficult. But it's cool to have a nice mix up and have it so Luigi still exists in here in a significant way on a mostly single-player system, and I think that's cool. Plus, it also has a remake of the arcade game Mario Bros., which was kind of featured as a mini-game Super Mario Bros. 3. And I think it's cool that it came back for this handheld one. It's just a nice little mini-game thing, and it's pretty fun to play on here. As far as I can tell, it controls really well, and I don't know if it actually plays anything like the arcade version, and I've had limited play of the NES version, but it seems to have better control than that, so I don't know. I don't want to go into a big review of that. It's just a series of trying to take out a bunch of enemies from knocking them from underneath them and flipping them over and then run over and kicking them. Avoiding fireballs, getting coins, all that. But I don't really want to go reviewing that game, because I might just get that game by itself at some point to review that, right? But it's there, and it's a nice little thing to just do, to take a break and have some fun with that. And if you only have a few minutes, you don't want to really delve back into the adventure of Super Mario World, you can just kind of do that on the side, and you can do 2 games in one. So what's wrong with that? I guess you could do multiplayer by just switching off, when somebody dies, switch off, and if you want to play as the different characters, whatever, just hand over the system. You don't need to have some kind of weird convoluted multiplayer type of thing for that, I guess. So yeah, that works, I suppose. But yes, I do really like that version of it, so I thought it was really going to help to talk about that, especially since all my footage is coming from that. I happen to like that one better just mostly because it's portable, and it's the one I played first, before I even knew it was a Super Nintendo game. Super Mario World. This game is great. I don't think you guys need me to sing its praises. It's a masterpiece. It's one of the best games I've ever played. It's my favorite Mario game. It has the 2D Mario formula just down. It's perfect. I mean, this game gets it so right. It's so fresh and these new ideas, even though they're using a lot of familiar concepts, and none of it's way over your head or crazy. And I think it's just having fun with the formula. Such a mastery, yet there's so much discovery going on. It's a great time. It's a beautiful package, and this is one of those games that I think is worth paying, even up to like $50 for it. It's one of those games that I think is a must-have for anyone, for Mario fans, for fans of the Super Nintendo, or it's on multiple things now. It's on it's got Game Boy Advance. It's on the Wii and Wii U eShops. I know. I wish it was on more stuff. It's on Super Mario All-Stars for the Wii and for the Super Nintendo. There's a version with this on it. Actually, maybe it's not on the Wii one. I might be lying about that. I think they took that out. That's dumb. But, there are ways to get it, and I think you can get it for cheaper than the $50 I think it's worth. So, anything less than that is fine, too. It's a great game. It's one I think you'll be playing a lot of. It's a great adventure, and you can save, and there's so many levels and so much stuff to do in it that it's one of those that I think is going to be pretty timeless. It is tough for me because I do really like 3D Mario games, and even this one still is my favorite Mario game. Definitely play it. I also really recommend this Game Boy Advance version because it has the Luigi stuff and its little extras on it, plus it's portable, so that's cool as well. Either way, just find a way to play this game because it's great, and I recommend it to just fans of video games in general, just anyone who wants to play a really fun game, because this one is great. And I don't know, what's your favorite Mario game? I don't know. What did you think of Super Mario World? What's your favorite version of Super Mario World? I don't know, share whatever you want in the comments. I mean, plenty of stuff you could say, but this is one of those games that's just so much fun. And I don't know. I don't know what to really say since, everyone probably already says this game is great, because it fucking is. And that's all I should say. So, hope you guys enjoyed the review. Remember, you can always look at the link in the description or go to www.thegrapplepit.net to check out a written one of this. And I've been Sam, and I've been a real person. I'll see you guys for another review at some other point. Who knows when? I sure don't.